US-Iran tensions are at an all-time high after two American military bases in Iraq were attacked by Iran using ballistic missiles. Iran claims that it has killed 80 American soldiers, but there is no confirmation of that after they fired two missiles, up to 22 missiles at those two US air bases in Iraq. The Iraqi military has issued a statement saying that 22 short-range ballistic missiles were fired, but no Iraqi casualties have been reported. Following Iran's attack on the US air bases in Iraq this morning, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said that Iran has given the US a slap in the face. He also says that military action is not enough. US President Trump has yet to address the US about the strike, but on Twitter he said that all is well. The US Department of Defense confirmed that Irbil and Al-Assad air bases in Iraq had been hit by more than a dozen ballistic missiles. Minutes after the attack on the air bases, oil prices have spiked more than 3.5%.
Their hostility, their animosity towards us is in their nature. If some people think that if we take one step back and if we become a bit moderate, the Americans will stop their animosity. This is wrong. This is completely wrong. Some people say do not do things that will make the Americans angry. But this is against what the God has said himself in the Quran. They're angry, they're nervous because of the successes of us, of ours in science and service and military. They're nervous, they're angry with this, all these advancements that we have had.
Well, the US president had tweeted that all is well, leading to a little bit of relief. But right before that, here's what Donald Trump had said.
Iran does anything that they shouldn't be doing, they're going to be suffering the consequences, and very strongly. We're prepared. We're totally prepared. And likewise, we're prepared to attack if we have to, as retribution.
Now, Iran has launched all those missiles at those two air bases. I want to give you a sense of how Iran is actually surrounded by United States air bases in the region, and that's why it feels vulnerable and threatened right now. From cruise missiles to aircraft, to the US aircraft carrier fleet in the Persian Gulf, all of these air bases are surrounding Iran at this point of time. The Irbil and the Al-Assad air bases in Iraq are the two air bases that were hit, but there are several other air bases in the region, which is precisely why Iran feels threatened at this point of time. The ballistic missile attack on the Irbil and the Al-Assad air bases were in retaliation to the assassination of General Qasem Soleimani, but all of these air bases, you can imagine right now, will be on a war footing, many of them with mission plans that will be Iran specific. So will things actually de-escalate? Remember, Iran is not just any other country. This is a country with a large conventional military. This is not Afghanistan or any other small tin pot dictatorship that the United States has attacked in the past. Take a look at what Iran's conventional military strength looks like. It's nothing compared to the United States. No military on this planet can compare to the United States, but take a look at what Iran has. It has 500,000 active military personnel. It has over 300,000 military personnel in reserve. It has almost 400 combat aircraft, most of them fighter aircraft armed with missiles, 15 frontline, warships armed with guided missiles and air defense missiles. It has 5 attack submarines that are capable of, giving the Americans sleepless nights in the Persian Gulf. It has ballistic missiles, both of a short range like the ones used this morning, as well as long range up to 1,000 kilometers, multiple air defense missile units in that area, which would stop US fighter aircraft from getting anywhere near Iran, including drones. So this is a country that you can't simply mess with. It's not something that Trump can simply get into a conventional war with. Sandeep Punithan, executive editor, with us live. Sandeep, is an all-out confrontation or an escalation a possibility at this point of time? Or do you think that Iran has, made its statement, made its response as far as the domestic audience is concerned, and now needs to step back?
Well, Shiv, I don't think an all-out war is in anybody's interest. And, while Iran might have made its point very vehemently with that missile attack, I think the indications are that Tehran wants a climb down. The statement that the Iranian ambassador in New Delhi made today is very significant. The fact that he's called for India to mediate in this dispute between the United States and Iran is a very clear indication that Iran would like the situation to be de-escalated. But the world is watching simply because of what you mentioned, the number of forces that are on alert, on guard, watching for what happens next. And I think we will know precisely what the next course of action is, based on the number of casualties, if any, that American troops have suffered in Iraq during these attacks.
Our editor defense, Abhishek Bhalla, is also live with us. Abhishek, advisories have gone out, huge Indian populations in the region as well. What kind of impact is the Indian security establishment assessing from what's happening in Iran right now? Abhishek, can you hear me?
Yes, Shiv, I can, yeah.
Yeah, I was asking, how is the security establishment assessing the possible impact on India from what's happening right now?
Well, Shiv, there are several lakhs of Indians living in Iran, Iraq and other countries in West Asia. And that's the reason why the Indian agencies, be it intelligence agencies or the diplomatic community, is keeping a close watch on whatever is happening. Because remember, if this escalates, there are fears that there can be escalation. If that happens, obviously the big priority for India would be to make sure a safe evacuation for those Indians who are working there and they can be brought back to the safety of Indian shores.
We'll be keeping a very close watch on what's happening in Iran. Lots of impact on India. Energy security, peace in the region, many different angles, including the economic aspect of the hundreds of thousands of Indians who continue to live in the Persian Gulf at this point of time. Thanks very much, Sandeep and Abhishek, for joining me on this. Well, that's it on this edition of 5 Live. Thanks so much for tuning in.